Are you looking for an easy hack to get better sleep? In this video, I'm going to tell you if it's better to sleep with your socks on or off. So the thing that started off this interest in the first place is there's a study that looks at this exact thing, and it makes some pretty bold claims. In fact, it kind of seems too good to be true. The study says sleep onset latency was on average 7.5 minutes shorter, total sleep time was 32 minutes longer, the number of awakenings was 7.5 times smaller, and sleep efficiency was 7.6% higher for those wearing feet-warming bed socks during a 7-hour sleep versus the control, which is no bed socks. And when you look at the methodology, it's terrible. It's only looking at 6 participants, and it was only over the course of 2 nights, 1 night with socks and 1 night without. And aside from this study, it's basically non-existent in the scientific data for looking at socks during sleep. I could only find one other study. It's more focused on socks prior to sleep versus socks during sleep. It's looking at senior citizens and comparing people with insomnia and without to see if socks make a difference. So it's not even analogous to the question we're after. And if you've seen my channel before, you know I love testing stuff out to see if it actually makes a difference for sleep. So in order to understand the next part, you need to understand what bed socks are. So I thought it was just that the study was being like super specific about socks being worn during sleep, and that's not the case. So bed socks are actually a specific type of sock. They're a lot warmer and a lot thicker than the cotton socks that you'd wear during the day. And they have the specific goal of keeping your feet warm, which is critical to what we're looking at for the next part. So what I've done is I have tested things out over the past 2 weeks, and I've been wearing these bed socks about 2 hours before I go to sleep. What typically happens is that when it's time to put on my blue light blocking glasses, I've been putting on these socks, and I honestly can't believe it. I seriously, it is incredible. So first, let's look at the objective data using my Oura Ring. And I realize the Oura Ring isn't perfect when it comes to capturing the data, but unless they start making sleep labs at the consumer level, it's probably going to be the closest that we can to getting some objective data. And I was kind of surprised. I've made some other changes about a month prior to trying this out, and it seems to be that the other changes that I've made, which a video will be coming out in the next 1 to 2 weeks, so stay tuned for that. But the other changes that I've made seem to be making a bigger difference, at least as far as my objective data goes. So the amount of deep sleep and the time to fall asleep isn't really that much of a difference, and it's within the normal parameters of all the other things that I'm doing to help support my sleep. The biggest difference objectively that I'm seeing is the time to fall asleep, or excuse me, my bedtime. So as far as my bedtime goes, I would say prior to doing the sock test, my bedtime on average would be 11:42 p.m. But since I've started wearing these socks over the past 2 weeks, my bedtime has shifted, and I am now going to sleep at about 11:15 on average, which is a 30-minute difference. And in fact, if I didn't have 7 dogs that I have to take care of right now, I would probably be falling asleep even earlier. Some nights I really have to push myself to do my night routine and everything else that I'm doing before I get into bed and crash. So when we are looking at the objective data, so just basically how I've been feeling, I honestly, I can't even believe it. Kind of like I had mentioned, I am just so much more sleepy when it is time to fall asleep that it really is a struggle some nights, and I feel like I crash when I'm getting into bed. But not only that, if you've seen videos of mine before, you know I really struggle with my sleep. I do a whole bunch of stuff to support my sleep, and it's still kind of a struggle. And since I have done this, this is the closest that I felt to a normal human being in a really long time. So on an average night, prior to wearing these socks, I felt either pretty sleepy or moderately sleepy when it was time to wake up. But since I've implemented this change, I am so much more well rested. When I wake up in the morning, I feel less groggy throughout the day. So I cannot believe that this is helping as much as it's helping. So in order to understand the why this is happening, because logically it doesn't make sense that wearing socks should be making a difference at all. You know, like it was like, okay, well, you know, I have my feet covered in bed under the covers, like it shouldn't make a difference, right? So in order to understand this, you need to understand something called the distal proximal temperature gradient, which is basically just a fancy way of saying the difference between the temperature of your core and the temperature of your extremities, like your hands and feet. So during the day, under normal circumstances, the distal proximal temperature gradient is negative 2.5 degrees Celsius. But as part of your circadian rhythm, when your body's preparing for sleep, your core temperature is going to lower, your extremity temperature is going to raise, and as you're drifting off to sleep, it's supposed to be a 0 degree difference. So when we expand our search and look at other scientific studies that are focused on modifying the distal proximal temperature gradient, some commonalities do emerge. There is a little bit of variability depending on what population they're looking at and what the specific study is. But I would say the biggest commonality that I saw was with subjective sleepiness for the groups with socks versus without. The people with socks are feeling sleepier and the time to fall asleep is less. From there, it is a little bit murky and a little bit squishy as far as what differences they are actually seeing, but there's at least no negative effects through all the studies that I looked at. If there was no difference for whatever metric they were looking at least it wasn't making things worse. So, should you wear socks during sleep? Oh my gosh, yes, please do it, try it. I wholeheartedly recommend it just because it is so low effort and I am seeing such a big difference in my sleep. This is something I am absolutely going to continue to do because I am flabbergasted with how big of a difference it is making in my sleep. And I would highly recommend, if you are having trouble with your sleep, or even if you're not, I would highly recommend trying this out. I'm going to go ahead and link in the description or in the comments the specific socks that I got, since I think I found one of the best deals for specific nice bed socks online. So I'll go ahead and link those if you are interested. Also, if you try this out, I am so interested to see if anybody is duplicating my results. So I just ask, if you try this out, please come back, leave me a comment, let me know, because I want to see if other people are duplicating my results. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up so I know you enjoyed it. Sweet dreams!